Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everybody. I'm sure some people will be late. That's fine. Just get comfortable. I'm not going to probably go on for very long. I tend to talk kind of fast. Sorry about that in advance. If you have any questions, I do have the chat open, and you're welcome to put chat questions in, and I will make sure I get to them before we end the call. But my goal here tonight is really just to share with you, how I got started with doTERRA and how it might be something that really would meet a need for you. Whether that's financial or just, something to kind of scratch the itch of creating something to put out into this world. I know when I started with doTERRA, I actually wasn't looking for anything. I was a very busy mom. We have, well, 4 kids now, 3 at the time. We were homeschooling, and doTERRA just came along, and I couldn't help myself because I love these products, and I couldn't shut up. So it wasn't like I was seeking a career, and I wasn't seeking anything extra to add to my plate. I actually had another business that I had started, and it was doing all right. It was giving me some extra spending money, which is all I really thought I needed. And so when doTERRA came along, it was more of just I followed that intuition and followed the product sort of where they led me. But yeah, I was really skeptical at first. And I think a lot of people are skeptical of not just doTERRA, but pyramid schemes in general. And so I think it's difficult to see sort of the truth of the matter until you talk to somebody who's kind of been through the ropes and built a successful business. And for me, I had one friend who was building a successful income with network marketing, but she was working her tail off. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to work that hard. And, her story was great, but she again was just sort of earning some side money. She didn't replace any income, and she was working 60 hours a week at least, I think, 40 to 60, maybe not technically, but it looked like that from the outside. She just was hustling. And I wasn't really interested in that. And beyond that, the only thing I knew about network marketing is most people tried stuff for a little while and then moved on to the next thing. There wasn't a lot of consistency, and you just saw people kind of jumping all over the place from one great product to the next great product, and so on and so forth. And so that was kind of my understanding of network marketing. There were some network marketing companies that I loved, that I used their products. There were some people who did network marketing that I loved too, and I love to support them. But for myself, it felt like an inauthentic business, I think. And authenticity is something that I take very seriously. And so that just kind of didn't rub me the right way. Anyway, that was all kind of just you laid these seeds in my head, and I've overcome them, but it took me some while, actually. It took me a while to be sort of forthright with the fact that I was doing doTERRA, and it was my business, and kind of taking ownership of that took a while because of my hesitations. But when I started with doTERRA, I actually had experience with oils. I had used oils for years on my kids, and particularly a blend similar to On Guard, and I loved them. And so when I went to my first class, I said, I knew I was going to buy, I thought surely they'd have a blend similar, or I could buy the singles and make it myself. And so I went to the class knowing I would buy at least that much, because that's what I needed. Little did I know, I didn't know anything. So I got to the class and I learned all of this information, and I was like, oh my goodness, the oils can be used for everything. I had no idea. I had like 6. I had like eucalyptus and rosemary and clove, and the ones that are in On Guard, basically. And so at this class, I just was a little bit blown away, and I got a book, and I went home, and I didn't enroll because I had to think about it. And looking back, I should have started with a larger kit. I could have convinced her easily to get a larger kit, but I was being very cautious, and I just started with the Family Essentials kit and an extra bottle of On Guard because I knew I was going to use that, right? And we started going through the oils like crazy, and they worked. My first real experience in understanding the difference between our oils and other oils. And I was buying organic oils. I wasn't buying, whatever was at the drugstore. I was, getting what I could get from a co-op that sold only organic things. And so, but we never had really great experiences. In fact, I'd used tea tree oil for diaper rash before, and they would scream. And I was like, okay, we won't do that again. And so when I started with doTERRA, I was, sort of determined to either make them work or not buy anymore. And one of our kids got diaper rash conveniently, right? And so I had the Melaleuca. I tried it. The baby didn't even notice it. At the time she was, 1, she would have said something if it bothered her. She didn't bother her at all. And I was like, well, that's a different experience. And then the next day the diaper rash was gone. So that was a totally new experience. This was the same diaper rash I'd fought on the previous baby for months. Anyway, so that was a huge experience for me. Everybody has their own sort of testimony as to what was the oil that, sort of got your attention. And for me, that was the experience. It's a fun one to share. Everybody loves talking about poopy butts. Anyway, it worked. And as a mom, that was a big deal. And then, I started playing with them more and using them for everything from cleaning to cooking. And, we just got really creative with all the different ways you can use the doTERRA oils. Ingesting was totally new. And all of the products that doTERRA was putting out was making it so much easier to use the oils as a regular part of our day, which I think makes all the difference. It just makes it so much simpler. And then the education, of course, is huge, and we don't get that with other companies. So what I did was I jumped in without any training or education. At that time, there really wasn't a lot to offer. Even my upline, she did what she could, and hers above her did what she could for us, but there wasn't a lot of resources. So we just sort of made it up as we went. And it was messy, and I did a terrible job in so many ways, but they say, failing forward is huge. And now we have so many resources, but I still encourage people to be willing to fail, to just step out and know that, it's not going to kill you if you tell somebody the wrong thing, or if you don't have the answer to a question. You can always find those answers, and you can always search with them. And so I used to spend hours on the phone with customer service, just trying to find the answers to things because I didn't know. So every time somebody asked me a question, I said, I don't know, I'll get right back to you. And I would call customer service. Now we have online chat, and oh my gosh, it's a million times easier, I think. But yeah, so that's really what my story looked like. I had classes that would last for 3 hours or more. People would be like falling asleep. I wouldn't have order forms. It was mayhem. But I will tell you, as chaotic as it was, I think people could sense that I was eager to make sure everyone had access to these oils, and I still am. And of course, that number has grown. My sphere of influence is a lot different than it was back then. But my passion and excitement and enthusiasm were the main things that kept me going and that led to my success. So if you have those things and you're willing to learn, you have what it takes to make a really successful business with doTERRA. So, as I went along, sure, I hit walls and I got frustrated, and it was difficult, and still I do. Still, it's very difficult every once in a while. Even as a diamond with a very steady and reliable income, it can be really frustrating to not meet the goals you want, or to get shot down by somebody who says no, or, get your voodoo oils away from me, or I'm a nurse, I know better than you do. I get that a lot still. And what can I do except turn around and look for somebody who's waiting for me? So I put myself out there daily, and that's something that I say, you can't really build a business unless you're willing to do that. And that's not just true of doTERRA, but when you're passionate about these products and you do feel confident in the product and what it has to offer, you can do pretty miraculous things. Let's see here. Oh, how do I move my slide? Okay. So that's me and my husband, Drew, and we're actually in Jaffa, which is in Israel. And I'm showing this because my willingness to sort of step in before I knew what to do has led us to a pretty marvelous life. We had a great life before too. We've always been happy. I think that's definitely important, but we haven't always had the ability to kind of make our dreams come true. So Israel has been on our hearts since before we were even married. And we always said, oh, one day we'll go, one day we'll go. Well, one day last year, it was a little earlier than right about now at this time. Drew and I said, we'd been saving up money for a trip to Israel. And he looked at me and he's like, okay, we have enough to go. And we're like, okay, so let's talk about that. When are we going to go? How long are we going to go? And he's like, what if we went for a whole month? And of course my mind was blown, because I thought, because, and I couldn't think of a reason no, except for that, money, but we had saved enough that we could go. And by the time you pay for a flight over, you might as well stay for a while. Right. So we did. We took the whole family and we stayed in Israel for a whole month. The whole month of May, we were gone and we were there. And because we have this business that's so flexible, we worked in Israel. We enrolled people while we were there. We had a fun, marvelous time. We explored like crazy. We saw all the things that we wanted to see, and now we need to go back because there's another list. But this job has made it possible for us to sort of follow that free-spirited, adventurous style and go where we want to go. So just to kind of open your mind, and I'm going to come back to that in a little bit and share more about what my goals were in the beginning versus what they are now. But you don't have to have a dream of traveling to make a good supplemental income with doTERRA. You don't have to set your sights quite so high to start with. I certainly did not. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. But before I come back to my story, I wanted to share, I don't know why that Pinterest thing is there. I don't know if you guys see that or not, but why, and what's the most important thing? I mentioned that passion, and that love for the oils is really what will make any business thrive. You have to love the oils. You have to be passionate about the products that we have at our disposal. You have to be really excited to offer people an alternative to what they maybe are relying on right now. And that excites me every day. It excites me to know that there's something out there that people haven't tried. And that if they did try, they may see some serious relief from. They may actually be able to function in a new way and see healing the way that I believe we were created to see it. I think that we were created with this idea that healing is totally possible. And I think that's highlighted throughout scriptures again and again and again, and even throughout my experience. And when I see people having given up on that fullness of healing, I get really sad, but then I also get really motivated to get them hooked on oils. So, and I've seen so much healing in my experience in the last 5 years that I'm not even going to get started on testimonies in this. That could be a totally different call on the ways that people have been metamorphosized in their health and their wellness and their emotions, every aspect. So, so that should really ignite something in you. And that's the first step. The oils, they're the main thing, the first and most important thing. Somebody once said, and I don't remember exactly where I heard this, but it's in the forefront of my mind because I think doTERRA does this amazingly well. They are the best in the world. And doTERRA sets an example, not just on an oil level, but on a company-wide, industry-wide, worldwide level of what people can do well and for a profit. And so the quote is, when you do good for a profit, there's no limit to how much good you can do. And I just think that that's so powerful, and it frees me because it means that I don't have to feel guilty about making a profit. It's a representation of how many people have been served through my efforts in one way or another. And so I think that that can really inspire us to move forward instead of getting caught up on the idea that, money, 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 money. Sometimes, and I think a lot of us get hung up on this idea of greed, and maybe there's a certain amount of money that you can make without being greedy, and then you get beyond that and it's like, all right, well, how much do you actually need to make? And honestly, I would have said that back when I started with doTERRA about what I make now. I'd be like, what is she doing with all that money? But we are planning for the future, and we have big goals about serving our community, and all of the things that are open to us are so much bigger, and the resources are so much more kind of expansive. And so that's something that I hope you get inspired by, because when we talk about numbers, you might get a little bit blown away about what the potential is in earning with doTERRA, but it really comes back to doing good and helping people with these products that they need. Okay. That's the first thing with doTERRA. The second thing and reason to get involved with doTERRA is that we're growing exponentially. This month is a really good indicator of that. It's been the best month ever. I think we've seen about a 35% increase over last year alone. But if you look at our charts, even when we're not growing as fast as we want to, we're still growing. We have been growing from the beginning of our doTERRA journey. And as long as we continue to put one foot in front of the other, it's going to be the same. We are part of the healthcare industry, which is like I don't even know, $35 billion industry or something ridiculous like that. People need healthcare, and these oils work, and so they will spend money on them. And our goal is just to connect them to that. People are looking for alternatives right now. People are looking for something that's different than what they've been using. People are kind of over the idea that they can't feel better, that they'll just have to be on this medication forever, or they might have to get another medication to deal with the symptoms of that medication, and so on and so forth. It's a cycle that people are sort of fed up with. And so we have an alternative to that. And we have just a hope to offer people who are ready to be done with that. Okay, so the third reason, we need help. We're growing exponentially. We need people to take up arms and help the people. You know, we can't help everyone individually. And that's one of the kind of beautiful things about network marketing, is that you join this tribe and you work together with this common goal. And as the tribe grows, so does the movement and the momentum and the excitement. And so that's a really fun thing to be a part of, which leads me into the fourth reason to build with doTERRA. And that is the community, that tribe I mentioned. We have the most amazing people in our lives that would never be a part of our lives if we hadn't started doing doTERRA. It has pushed us to make new friends. It has pushed us to develop relationships, to develop ourselves, to be more likable and more fun, and to really put ourselves out there and connect with more people. When I started, I think I probably thought that there was a limit on how many people I could love or that could love me. And what I found is that's not true. And a lot of you on this call, I could cry now just thinking about how you might not be in my life if it weren't for doTERRA. So I thank you guys for that. But I think that that's true for everyone who joins network marketing. If you're willing to sort of accept that challenge of making as many friends as you can and building your community, then you'll be satisfied on so many levels, not just on an income level or a health level, but on that fundamental need for love in your life and friends and all of that, and community. Okay, the fifth reason with network marketing, you have this opportunity that you don't have other places. We get to help other people, and by doing that, we are able to help ourselves. I call it the pay it forward income model. If I help somebody on my team grow, I grow by default. We rise by lifting others. I know there's other network marketing companies where their pay structure is not the same and it doesn't really work like that. But in doTERRA, it is built specifically so that we help and that helps us. And it's just how it's set up. And so any amount of money that you make is a representation of how many people you've been able to assist and serve. And I just think that's so beautiful. And I can't think of any other industry that's really quite the same or could have quite the same impact. Just to give you a feeling of how many people, just because I decided 6 years ago, to start with doTERRA and have 4 or 5 classes in my living room, now we have over 13,000 people on our team that in one way or another are connected back to us. That's insane. That blows my mind. And I, can't really wrap my head around that. But it just is kind of the perfect illustration of how that model works. You help people, they help people, you help people, help people. It's just this beautiful, beautiful thing. Let's see here. Okay. Residual income. This is the number 6 thing, and we're going to talk about what that looks like a little bit, but in a minute. But if you haven't heard about residual income, even before we started doTERRA, my husband owned another business doing security systems, and most of the businesses in the world that people make a lot of money with are residually based. So the security business, we made residuals on the people who paid for their security monitoring every single month. You pay an electric bill, that's a residual bill, right? It comes back every single month. Some other examples, if you have a Netflix account, if you have a subscription service of any kind, these are all residual ways to make money. And it's such a smart way to make money. And the people who are the wealthiest in the world are the ones who do that. Authors and let's see, movie stars, they earn every time the movie plays on the TV, they earn residuals. So that's just how the world kind of turns. And it's one of the smartest ways to build an income. But for most people, we don't have access to a way to make that kind of money because we're on the ground building somebody else's business. So this residual income I'm talking about is the difference between trading a dollar for an hour versus building a pipeline of financial freedom. So this is another reason. Sorry, I forgot this slide, but another reason to build with doTERRA is not only are we helping those people we put the oils on, but this beautiful system, co-impact sourcing, if you haven't explored it at all, is just, there's nothing else like it that I can think of. And there's fair trade, but this model is different. It's more of a, if we work with a farmer, we make sure he has everything he needs, not just a paycheck, well, fresh water, schooling for their kids, education, just opportunities like no other. It's insane. We've done things like include specific oils in blends just so the farmers who make that oil can have more income. It's really, really, really beautiful. And you can look at some of that, watch some of our videos on source2u.com and learn more about how deep that is and how it changes our product, not just on a quality level, but on an ethical level. And again, demonstrates that there's that quote that I said about when you do good for a profit, there's no limit to how much good you can do. The impact that doTERRA is having on the lives of thousands and thousands of farmers who make our oils is just, it just blows my mind every time I think about it. So, okay, so what does residual income, we're growing, we're $1 billion healthcare industry, and we also have a really low financial investment. For a lot of you probably already have oils, a lot of oils maybe, right? So you don't really have to invest a ton more. You just have to invest the time it takes to help other people, to maybe set aside an hour to have a class or a one-on-one with someone. So the investment is really just that. And there's literally no other option. You couldn't start a franchise like that. In fact, you could put up a lot of money, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars to open a franchise. And then you also have to work 60 hours a week. So it's really a twofold situation. Whereas with doTERRA, you have your oils probably already. If you don't, it's a minimal investment, maybe $100 to $200. If you're really big and bold, it's $1,000 to $2,000 investment, but that's literally nothing. And even comparing that to traditional education and then into a career, how many hundreds of thousands of dollars do people spend on education and then graduate hoping they can get a job, not even sure that they'll be even able to get a job. I know that there was actually a crisis with lawyers. A lot of people were going to law school and spent all this money, and then they came out and there's nowhere to work. And that's, it's difficult. But with doTERRA, the investment is really just your time. So you don't have to, throw thousands and thousands of dollars at something. You just have to be willing to learn skills and put in that time effort. Okay, so here's that residual chart that I wanted to show you just to kind of demonstrate. So Robert Kiyosaki is a financial guru, and he kind of came up with this. They call it what is it called? Something quadrant. But it shows you kind of what the different ways that people earn money look like. We've got the employee section in the top left, and those are people who trade their time for money. On the right, next to that, you have a business owner who trades people for money. So they pay people and those people work and then they get money as a result. It's like leverage. It's got some leverage. And then you've got, if you own a job, so this is what my husband had. And this is the difference between business owner and self-employed. So self-employed is usually like a contracted worker. He owned his own business, but he was really the main employee and had a hard time holding down other employees, and it would be really frustrating. And so he couldn't step back from it. He had to go to work every single day. We never would have been able to go to Israel if he still owned that company. Not for a month anyways, maybe 2 weeks, but he still would have been on the phone a lot of the time we were there. And then you have the investor, where you're taking money and you're letting it work for you. And how that works within doTERRA is that when you invest and build to a certain rank, so say, and I'm just going to throw out some numbers, say you're earning $300 a month with doTERRA. It's residual. You don't have to do necessarily any certain amount of money or time or anything like that. You don't have to have employees per se. Usually when you make $300 a month is when you have about $3,000 in volume on your whole team. And that would look like having $1 million or more in the bank if you make $300 a month. If you're talking about earning interest, that's what that would look like. That's how that would translate. So earning and building to elite would be basically equivalent to having $1 million in the bank. So when you put that into perspective, isn't it worth the time investment it would take to build to that level, to that elite level? And I'm going to get into the numbers and how long it takes to get to elite and that kind of thing here in a sec. But before I do that, let me see. My slides are correct here. I'm just going to remind you again what my life looks like now that I have doTERRA. So when I started, you know, we have a small farm, and my first goal was really just to earn enough money to pay for projects on the farm, to build, for example, the barn, to buy fencing, to buy sheep, to, you know, just do the little things that really add up. These things are expensive. Farmers make no money, for the record. They may love it, but there's no money in that. So anyway, we love our farmers though. But so we were really committed to this idea of kind of creating a homestead where we could be more self-reliant and, you know, grow our own meat and vegetables and fruits and things like that. And it took investment. And when we started, you know, we had enough money with the mortgage from my husband and the other bills. And so doTERRA, my goal was to just pay for a few of these projects. And we did that. In fact, not only did we do that, but since that our vision has grown, we've also been able to pay for ballet and music lessons. We've traveled, like I mentioned already, a lot. Israel was one of the trips. We've also, you know, been to Europe and all over the U.S. And so that's, you know, something I didn't even have on my list really, because travel is fun for me, but it's sort of until I'm gone, it's stressful. I'm like, I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave. And then I go and I'm like, yeah, this is fun. But let's see what else. We did add an addition. We did an addition on our house. These are all things that were sort of kind of compiled. As I grew my doTERRA business, I was like, it'd be really nice if I could cover that. It would be really nice if I could help with this. It would be really nice if we could have enough to pay for that thing. And literally had a vision board and would put pictures on there of the things that we wanted. And it's been so fun to check things off of that list. It's been really kind of empowering to sort of take control of what we're able to accomplish through growing our finances. Travel. Now our dreams are a little bit bigger. Now we are looking more at building a community center, community wellness education center. And we just were able to buy more property attached to ours this week, actually. And it doesn't escape me how blessed we've been as a result of this journey. But it also inspires me to make sure that you all know how freeing it could be for you as well, and how your dreams could be fueled by this business. This could be a vehicle to get you where you want to go. And maybe that's just a retirement fund. Maybe that's just to, you know, pay off a car payment or a student loan or something like that. No goal is too small. Honestly, I don't want to motivate you to be something that you don't really want to think about right now. But extra income helps so many people. We happen to be now at a point in our life where we get to experience a freedom that most people don't get to experience. And it doesn't escape me how big a deal that is. Our family is together almost all the time. We homeschool. My husband doesn't leave for work in the morning unless he has a call or a meeting with someone related to doTERRA. You know, we have a lot of luxuries in our life that most families don't get to have because of the model that our society has set forward as sort of the standard. And I'm not going to encourage anyone to quit their career right now. You don't have to quit what you're doing to build doTERRA. That's one of my uplines said that recently. I think it's so important. I didn't quit what I was doing until it made sense to, but I didn't quit what I was doing when I started with doTERRA at all. In fact, until I started making more with doTERRA than I was ever with that, until I started really sort of being more passionate about this product than I was about what I was doing before, did I lay that down. So it really does fit in perfectly with most people's lives. You know, you can just do it as sort of a side hustle for a while and put in that extra effort just to kind of build that residual and that potential for yourselves. Okay. So actually, I want you guys to do an exercise with me. And this may make you a little bit uncomfortable. It makes me a little uncomfortable. But it also can be really, really eye-opening. So, okay. So I want you to think about, what could you do? And I want you to actually close your eyes. I'm going to show you a picture first. See this picture and close your eyes and sort of visualize your hand in that picture. I can see some of you. Make sure those eyes are closed. So close those eyes, and I'm going to ask you a few questions, and I want you to just think about it for a minute. But the first question is, have you ever considered what you would do if money were not a struggle, if money were not an issue? If you had the freedom to do what you wanted to do, to travel, to help others, what would that look like for you? Very rarely do we stop and give ourselves a second to think about that, because we're so busy with the day-to-day activities it takes to survive from paycheck to paycheck. And this is one of those exercises where I love to hear each and every single person's result at the end. We're not done yet. So hold these visions in your mind, and when we're done, I would love for you to share, either verbally or just in the chat, what came to mind for you. Okay, so if you had $30 in your hand, we've all held $30 in our hands before. If you had $30 in your hand and you didn't have any reason that you needed it for food for yourself or for clothes or anything like that, nothing necessary, what would you do with $30, 30 extra dollars? As grown adults, even when we get gifts of money, usually we have a plan for it. We're like, yeah, here's $50, sweet. I can buy a nice, I don't know, dinner, and we can eat out or something like that, right? Think a little bit outside of that necessary thing. Okay, now we're gonna bump that up to $300. What if you had $300? What would you do with $300? Maybe there's a pair of boots that you really want. I'm speaking my own language right now. Maybe you want to take your husband and stay at a hotel for a night just to pamper the two of you and have that quality time. Pay for a babysitter, maybe. Okay, now we're going to bump it up. What if you had $3,000 in your hand? Keeping your eyes closed and just kind of visualizing, oh, $3,000, that's getting to be more. I could pay off my car loan. I could, maybe you didn't have a car loan. Imagining you don't have a car loan, forget that. That's not a fun one. What would you do with $3,000 that you couldn't spend on a bill? You had to spend it on something else. You had to give some of it away to somebody who needed it. Who would you help with that? Keeping your eyes closed. Now, what if you had $30,000 in your hand? What would you do with $30,000? Sorry. I always plan to not get emotional, but I always do. 30,000 is a lot, right? It's a lot of money. Okay. So I want you to sort of dwell on that, and I want you to think about that image in your mind. Maybe you have people in your life who really need the help. Maybe there's a charity that's in your heart that you just want to help and serve. I would really encourage you to take that vision that you just had and make a picture of it somewhere, hang that up, because regardless of your doTERRA choices, we all deserve to reach higher and do more, and be able to have those things that are on our heart and not feel guilty about that. So anyway, I want to encourage you to do that. Money is not my happiness. It is what pays for the ability. I handed over a $50,000 check to buy the property that I wanted since the day we moved into this house, because it's at the end of my driveway, and I just have a lot of dreams for it, and we always have had a vision for it, even when it wasn't ours. and it became ours because we had the check to hand to the people. And so it opened a door for us to pursue the dreams that we have, which includes serving people and building a legacy for our family. So keep that in mind. But I'm going to show you a chart to give you some ideas of what the income potential looks like with doTERRA. Okay, so we're shifting gears. No more dreaming. These are real numbers. Okay, and you can dream about these real numbers being yours for sure. But I'm just going to start at the beginning here. We talked about Elite a minute ago. We talked about them earning about $300 a month, and that being equivalent to having about $1 million in the bank and just earning interest on that, right? That's huge. That's huge. And residually, if you build a solid structure, then you will residually earn $300 a month on Elite. We're not talking about every month drumming up $3,000 in volume. With doTERRA, we have a 65% retention rate. That means that people come back again and again, month after month, to buy our products because they work and they are finding real solutions with doTERRA. And so we don't have to start from scratch every month. We just continue to educate our people on how to use the oils for their own personal needs, and the herbal supplements and the other products. So you're not starting from scratch every month. This is a residual income. And these are the monthly numbers, okay? Jumping up to Premier, it's $742 a month. So I wrote down some numbers for you because I wanted to just inspire you a little bit. I know when I saw this chart when I first started with doTERRA, and because this is my story, when I saw this, I just kind of was like, yeah, whatever. I didn't really care because I didn't really believe it. I did not think that this could be true. I thought, I love these oils, so regardless of what they pay me, I'm going to tell people about them. And I did know that if I had 3 people ordering $100 every month, which I wanted to order $100 every month, then I get a $50 bonus and pay for half my oils. And then my husband couldn't be upset with me for spending $100 a month. I was like, no, it's 50. Look, I earned it. So that was literally my first goal. That's what motivated me to get started and have several classes in the beginning. So maybe that's all it takes for you too. But to help you see a little bit broader than that, because honestly, I wish that I had accepted more of this vision when I first started. I wish that I had known how true it was and pushed even a little bit harder with more focus. But now on our team, we have 208 elites, and I guarantee that that number is going to go up significantly this month. It already has. We've already had 4 or 5 new elites this month. We have, see the Premier, $742 a month. We have 62 premiers on our team. That's an insane number. And again, those numbers are going up this month. Lots of new premiers. I suspect maybe what did I say? Maybe 12 new premiers this month, just because it's a crazy good month, right? Silver, $2,100 a month. Now, when I started and I saw that number, my jaw hit the floor, not the drawer. My jaw hit the floor. I just was like, yeah, never. No one ever makes that kind of money with these things. No one, except for like 3 people. And those 3 people are like the people who founded the company. That's what I thought. Okay. On our team, we have 26 silvers and growing. That's 26 people I know that are making that much money every month. On my team, that makes me so happy to have any part in that whatsoever. Golds, we have, how many golds do we have? 11 golds. And that's also growing. So notice $4,700 a month. My personal journey was, I don't even remember hitting elite because I wasn't paying attention. I seriously did not believe these things were like a reality. So I didn't look. Premier, I sort of, by that time, somebody in my upline had reached out and said, hey, you're really close to this goal. Did you know that? And I was like, oh, no, interesting. And then from there, I hit Premier and Silver in my 10th month with doTERRA. In my 11th month, I hit, no, wait, did I get that wrong? My 11th month, I hit Premier and Silver. And in my 12th month, I hit Gold. So exactly a year after I started with doTERRA, I hit Gold. So that just gives you some idea of how long it takes to build this. And it does have the averages on this chart. If you can see them at the bottom, it says an average of 3 months to elite, 6 months to premier. Silver, I think, what does it say for silver? I think it is 18 months. So I was even a little above average, but we have people on our team who are doing that. It's totally possible. Totally, if that's something that you want to accomplish. And then it doubles. It just keeps doubling. So these numbers are crazy, right? Platinum, 9,000. Diamond, 16,700. Blue diamond, 37,000. So Crystal and I, she's my direct upline. We are both diamond, and we earn actually well over that. We're holding up the diamond average. And then her upline and the upline above her are $37,000 a month at Blue Diamond. So, and then we have the two above them are both presidential diamond. And if you don't want to, like, I just don't even know how to wrap my head around $110,000 a month. I do not, but I have some pretty massive dreams. There's another property across the street from me I would pay cash for immediately if I could, and I would have an educational center and all kinds of things. Place for you guys to come and visit me in a retreat type setting. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. We're not there yet. But yeah, these numbers are real. We know people making this money with doTERRA. So I just wanted to make sure I put that out there, because if I hide that from you, you'll be like me in the dark and not realize the full potential. Okay, so moving on. This is just average yearly income, because I know monthly income. I want to make sure you understand that was monthly income we just looked at. Okay, and this is the yearly average income. Okay, starting at silver. Okay, 26,000, 57,000, 107,000. So these numbers are very accurate. They're just taken from averages, so the highs and the lows are all mixed in together. It's not, blown out of proportion. Like, this is what the person who makes the most at platinum gets. In fact, it's actually kind of a low platinum number in my experience. So again, it's those averages put together. Okay, let's see. We're on the last slide here. If you have, oh, no, going back. Okay, so one of my goals is to sort of tell you what it takes to build doTERRA. Of course, it takes a passion for the oils, and just to kind of overview what the nuts and bolts look like, because people, it can sound very like unreal, unattainable. If I don't just lay out what the work looks like, what does the day-to-day look like? And we have the training for all of this. So we are prepared to help you and take you by the hand and lead you down that path, and give you all the tools that you need, the training, skills mastering, all of that stuff. But really, it takes very specific steps. It takes planning and preparing. It takes setting aside time to have classes, to teach people, setting aside time to get in front of people with the oils and help them meet their own health needs, right? And the second thing is you have to invite these people then to those events, okay? The time that you've set aside, you need to get people there. Which is a skill. Some people are really naturally good at this. Some people need a little extra help with that, but don't worry, we have all of the steps laid out to make that really effective. Third is presenting. Presenting is something where you just share the information. And again, that can be a skill. Some people, again, naturally are just awesome at it. Some people need help. And I promise you that my presentation at the beginning, like the 6 to 7 hour class, is way better now. I guarantee the people who came to those first few classes or just doing me a favor when they finally bought something. They're like, okay, all right, let me just buy something already. But anyway, enrolling, that's helping people get a membership, helping them take advantage of all the bonuses of membership, and doing the loyalty rewards program, helping them do that. That's part of it as well. And then, of course, we support people with education. And of course, you as a part of our team have access to our amazing community that loves supporting each other, answering questions, helping people find solutions, and in all different kinds of ways, on Facebook, on Oil Camp, on you name it. We have all these resources that you can share with your people. And of course, what you bring to the table is your own special sauce, your own personality and characteristics that people are drawn to. So those are really the steps. And you get to set your pace. I started only investing about five hours a week. But the more you put in, the more momentum your team will have long term. But really slow and steady is really effective. So some people are definitely more like, I'll have one class a month, and they do that consistently. That consistent commitment does pay off long term. But to build that momentum and really hit some of those goals a little bit faster, you can put even more time in and speed it up. You get to really choose your own adventure with doTERRA. But I'm here because I needed to ask you to help. I need help. We need help. We need to help these people. I need your help helping more people. I need your help bringing these tools to the light for those that need them. I need your help meeting your friends and your family and your neighbors and your community. One oil may make a massive difference for them, like it has for you, maybe, like it has for me. We have a tagline on our team, and it inspires me every day. And when I'm feeling sort of under the weather and like, oils are great, but I need to just stay in bed today. It reminds me when I think of it that I could just put an oil on one person. And we could have never gotten where we were unless many others decided to kind of join us and also help us spread hope by the drop. We are an army now. We are a force, and we are seeing major shifts in healthcare and in people's mindsets. And there's a whole new group of people who are ready to hear what we have to say, but we need help to reach them. So that's why I decided to have this call, because I just see this urgent need. And I know that not only are people looking for healthcare options, but people are also looking for financial options, and people have big needs there too. And so I want to make sure everybody realizes the potential that doTERRA has for alleviating some of that. So I actually have a call to action. I have a list of things that you can do. So if you don't have a pen and paper ready, you might want to, or pull up a little notepad and a pen, or a note-taking device on your computer real quick, because I have some things that I think you could do easily to get started on your own journey with doTERRA. If you're already on a doTERRA journey building, this is still going to move you in the right direction. The first thing is make a list of people you know that would benefit from the oils, not the people who you think would buy them. Anyone who could benefit from the oils. Don't think for a second about who would buy them versus who wouldn't buy them, or who would be interested versus who wouldn't. Anybody who has a body basically will need an oil for something. So write down that list, and next to their name, write down what their health concern is. What health concern does that person have that you think the oils could help them with? The next step is to text message or tell whoever invited you here tonight, whether it's me or whether it's somebody else that I'm working with on our team. Tell them what you want to do. Are you ready to share and just start, maybe have 1 or 2 classes and see what comes of that, and help some people that way? Or are you ready to commit to being a builder and really kind of take this bull by the horns? The third thing is pick a 2-hour time before December 7th. So December 7th, I believe, is next Sunday, a week from Sunday. And spend 2 hours sharing what you love about the oils with one of the people on your list. Whether you get in touch with them in person and sit down with them in person, make sure they know what they're signing up for. Don't just barrage them with their oil in your oil loves, but set aside a time and say, hey, I'd love to sit down with you and tell you what these oils have done for me and what I think they might be able to do for you. And set that up just one-on-one, or have a class and schedule that with somebody who is willing to help you do a class if you've never done one. If you want to dive in full force, then let's talk about our 6-week business launching program. Okay. It is a proven system that includes support and guidance for you to find the most success you can. So I'm going to post a link for you to register for our upcoming training, which I scheduled for Monday night. Okay. So set aside Monday evening to learn about that launch program, which can build huge momentum for you and your team. And I guess I'll post that link in the chat in just a minute. But I want to tell you what my list looked like when I started. When I went to my first class, I had a note paper and I was writing down immediately. She's like, write down any oils that stand out to you. Well, I was writing down oils not for myself, but for other people, because they were the first ones that popped in my head. Headaches for my mom. My sister needed stuff for sleep. And then the list went on to my best friend, and then my my cousin and my grandma and my husband and my kids. And I had a list, and next to them, I would put the oils that I thought would fit their needs. And so that was really the beginning of my journey. And so I thought that I would translate that into an assignment for you. And I hope you're okay with that. I really appreciate you hopping on tonight, and I hope that you're excited and maybe motivated to do something with this and take this and run with it. I can't imagine not doing doTERRA now. I can't imagine moving on to something else. These oils have done so much for our family. I can't imagine not sharing that on a regular basis, whether I got paid or not. I still would have to talk about it. So we are touched and honored to be able to support you and help you wherever you need us to. Our mission is big, and it means the world to us that you would help us with it. So go forth and spread some hope by the drop. I will linger here for questions in the chat. But again, thank you so much for hopping on. I really appreciate it. And I hope you've gained something from it. All right. Does anybody have anything to share? Oh, yay. Lisa, I'm glad that you got something from it. I'm glad you hopped on. Cecilia, I'm glad you're on here too. Somebody has their hand raised. I'd love to answer your question. Oh, Merid, which is Meredith. Hey, Merid, what's up?
I just wanted to say, as a silver now, I've been a silver. I just re-ranked, and when I first started doing this, I totally thought there was no way that I would ever hit silver. I thought there was no way that I'd ever actually even hit elite.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that I'm kind of pushing for gold, I'm just kind of, here to say, like, I believe in it. Like, it's, I'm all in with it. And it really is about the amount of time that you put into it is what you get out of it. And if I had taken the time a little bit more, I would have moved faster. But I chose my path, and I chose to move a little bit slower. And that's okay too.
It is. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody looking back, like, well, I would do everything differently in my whole life. But yeah, that's one of the things looking back. Oh man, I wish I had like just seen this for what it was, this ginormous opportunity. I had no idea of the full potential because there wasn't really a lot of, there was no one demonstrating that for us when we started. We all started together and we're all just like winging it. So yeah, I think a lot of people look at those numbers and maybe have had an experience with network marketing before, and you just are skeptical. So I hope that some of you are less skeptical than when you got here because of our stories. And Meredith, I'm so glad you chimed in because it's so much more powerful to hear more than just one person say it. If there's who else is on the call that maybe would add something, I would love to hear from any of you. Now we're just going into overtime and you're all still here, so you clearly have something to say. Oh, Peggy, you were on. Yay! Yes, good. Marcy and I are ready for that. You are a perfect match. I cannot wait to get you going off the ground. Lisa says, done with warm market, slow going on cold market, still working and excited. Okay, good. It can be hard to cross that threshold, but I'll tell you, you're a real builder when you cross out of that warm market. That's when you've turned it into a job, a job, a career. And I'll tell you, meeting strangers now and talking to them about oils. I had a one-on-one yesterday with a lady that I met one time before, and now I am so thrilled that she is my friend. It's like, wow. I feel like we should have been friends a long time ago. So yeah, making friends is a huge part of this business and one of the true joys of it. If you can kind of get over yourself and put your timidity aside, most people are excited to hear what you have to say about something you're so passionate about.